Okay, please introduce yourself.
Good evening, sir. Myself, Dr. Mehak Bogra. I basically belong from Katra, Vaishno Devi, and married in Jammu in 2018. I have completed my graduation from Tirthakar Mahavir Dental College and post graduation in Department of Pedo and Preventive Dentistry from Dr. B.R. Ambedkar University in 2018. After completion of my post graduation, I continue with my private consultations along with working in Shri Mata Vaishno Devi Narayani Multi Speciality Hospital. But I worked there for only 3-4 months and then I left the job and continued with my private consultations along with the study for the exam. My likings are for morning walk as well as the watching web series.
All right. You mentioned that you have a background in dentistry. Um, can you tell me what is the role of fluoride in dental health?
So fluoride is basically the mineralizing agent which can be used uh, in the formation of the dental structure and for remineralization and mineralization of the content of the structure of the dental structure as a whole, anatomy as a whole, the fluoride is used. And mainly it occurs if there is a less amount of more amount of fluoride present that may lead to the decay of the tooth and lead to the demineralization in the tooth structure.
And what would be the role of sealants? What are sealants and what is their role?
So sealants are basically they are the material which are usually placed in the pit and fissure, that is the upper surface of the tooth surface, to prevent it from the decaying and getting the demineralization occur. So if we place sealants at the early stage, the chances of caries can be avoided.
Okay, and then if there is a cavity or if the tooth is not healthy anymore, what is that thing that that the doctors see so that they decide that the person whether the person needs a root canal or not?
So first of all, the tooth structure is main formed of enamel dentine, which is the outermost structure. So first of all, we check whether the enamel and dentine are intact or not. If the dentine has been enamel is uppermost layer, so if enamel plus dentine has been removed and the caries reach up to the pulp area, then we need to go for the pulp treatment, that is the RCT endodontic treatments, and there only we can find it. Involvement with pulp.
You mentioned endodontics. How is endodontic different from orthodontics?
So endo means within and dontis is teeth. That is endodontis is within the teeth. That involves the internal structures of the tooth. That is the pulp area mainly. Whereas the orthodontic are this subject which contains the jaw relation, means around the tooth structure, jaw bone that affects the mandibular maxillary portion. So orthodontic is basically the outer full coverage of the tooth which support the tooth structure, whereas the endo is inside the tooth.
We have also this issue that we generally see in India as well, the issue of bleeding gums. And what are the causes for it, and what are the solutions that we have?
The bleeding of gums generally happen due to the problem in the periodontium of the tooth structure, that is around the tooth structure, that is the gum area. If there is infection present in the cementum or the periodontal ligaments, osseous bone, as well as the alveolar bone, then it leads to the problem in periodontium of the tooth structure. So generally, it happens in the lead to the bleeding of the gums. So bleeding of gums can be reduced either by using the very first step we generally suggest is to clean your teeth, rinse your teeth with the warm water along with the saline, so that the cleaning efficiency of the oral cavity can be improved. Followed by that, the mouthwashes which is available in outer markets can also be used, like chlorhexidines and which contain chlorhexidine, so that they can reduce the acidic environment within the oral cavity and improve the overall condition of the gums around the tooth structure.
Tell me, if you had to choose, which of the two brushes would you choose? Would you choose a manual brush or would you choose an electronic brush?
So, like manual brush now generally use. I generally prefer the manual brushes, but the electronic brushes are also available in the market. But the various techniques which already has been suggested by the authors, dentists, previous dentists, like VAST technique, modified VAST techniques. These are the techniques which are generally used for the brushing of the tooth. So manual is better because we can improve and we can focus upon the areas which are at the problem issues which we where we are facing the problems. Whereas electronic ones are the mainly used for the small children along with the specially able children. So they can use those brushes and the people
But
that.
if we have electronic brushes, we can still focus on the areas where there is an issue, and it might there is a benefit of using electronic brushes because on an average, when it was seen, there is a statistics that uh, people generally use electronic brushes for a longer period of time than they use a manual brush. So the time duration of using an electronic brush is more than the manual brush. By that way, there will be high probability of having a healthy tooth using an electronic brush.
So, as per the guidelines, we should not brush our teeth more than a advisable time period. That also cause abrasion into the tooth structure and decayed lead to the demineralization. Also, the manual structure we can apply appropriate pressure which is needed for cleaning, along with the time which is required. Moreover, if we take from the psychological part also, if we are using the manual brushes, then our cognitive skills in working in the brain is also functioning. So altogether, manual brush is better option as compared to the electronic brushes. But if person is suffering from some disabilities or if patient is younger or elder, so we can also opt for the electronic ones.
All right, I can see that you have a very decent knowledge about dentistry. You've also worked as in a private as a private dentist. Why would you shift your occupation and why would you want to join civil services?
So first of all, the major reason behind this is the economic stability which we get from the job, and there is a lack of opportunities in the government sector in relation to our dental field. So, and being the one of the most prestigious job of the state, I want to opt for the same services. Moreover, in the dentistry, I work only one part of the field, whereas in civil service, I can opt for the diversification and face the various different challenges. So altogether, it gives me a better scope to be a good human.
Can you elaborate on how diverse work? What would be the diversity you'd get in Kashmir Accounts Service?
So in account services, basically there is more focus upon the economic aspects also, and I can work from the very grassroots level to express the sentiments as well as the aspiration of the small and the
No,
small root.
be specific with what kind of diversity would you get as a Kashmir Accounts Service?
So in relation to the just means it's related to the economic upliftment and the revenues along with all the financial transaction which are carrying out in the services. I can get to know that uh, which generally I have not studied in my past because I am a science background student. So
Mhm.
that give me a more diversity about that aspect also. So which I have not yet studied.
All right. Your mother tongue is Dogri. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about this. The official. What are the different official languages of the UT of Jammu Kashmir?
So there are five official languages of Jammu and Kashmir UT for English, Hindi, Urdu, Dogri, and English, Urdu, Hindi, Dogri. Sorry, sir, I'm not recalling the fifth one.
Are you aware of any famous poets or literary artists that we have in your language in Dogri?
So yes, sir. Padma Shri Received late Shri Ramnath Shastri ji. He received the Padma Shri Award for the work in Dogri literature only. Then there is one of the singer of the area which is in Riasi district only. That is uh, singer Narmohi ji. He also received the same received the Padma Shri for the music in Dogri language only. Then this year only we Vishwanath Shastri ji also received for the literature Padma Shri.
What is your birthday?
So 31st July 1991.
1991 is the year wherein we have seen a transformational changes in India's economic structure, wherein initially we had the larger role to given to the state, and then the market started to lead the economy. What led to the reforms of 1991?
So in 1991, the most important economic reforms happened. That is the LPG reforms. And LPG reforms in before LPG reforms, there was a closed economy in the country. Whereas LPG reform opened up the area of the mixed economy, as we were suffering from the shortage of food supply before that. And there was also a year where because of the war, Indo-Pakistan, Indo-China war, our resources has been utilized and we were under a fiscal deficit. So this led to the introduction of the new economic reforms that lead to the improvement of the overall economic status of this country.
No, what was the last nail in the coffin in that particular year, in 1991, that led to the LPG reforms?
Sorry, sir, right now I'm not able to recall.
You mentioned about fiscal deficit, but India has had fiscal deficit right after the independence for all the 20-30 years that we had. Fiscal deficit was not a big issue at that point.
So can I make a guess or according for
Yeah.
this question? So,
Yes, please.
as per my knowledge, there was a food shortage mainly that lead to this step, uh, as we received the food from USA in the air, and they denied to give us, and in return they demand. India feels humiliated for the same. For this reason, might be we shifted towards the LPG reform.
So you're saying that food shortages led to the LPG reforms. That's is that what you're saying?
So I'm not sure.
What is fiscal deficit exactly?
So fiscal deficit is a condition in which uh, we are importing more as compared to export, and they are more balance of payment that means against India's personal economic area.
And how would you differentiate fiscal deficit from current account deficit?
Sorry, sir. Right now, I'm not able to recall.
What you're saying is the definition that you gave is not the definition of a fiscal deficit. It is a definition of current account deficit. Fiscal deficit is one of the deficits in the budget, in the government's budget. Are you aware of that?
So right now, I have studied, but right now I'm not able to recall it.
Yeah, regarding LPG, tell me specifically what have you done in LPG?
If we go for the liberalization along with the globalization and privatization of the sectors, in liberalization we liberalize the rules and the regulations which were earlier used to be on the sectors, like they were license system, and there are various restrictions in relation to the particular market. Everything was not open to the everyone. The government has specifications for the industries and the banking sector that will belong to government only. So we liberate those laws and we make it easy for doing business. In relation to globalization, earlier we used to be closed economy and we do not generally uh, interact with the outer world. But in after LPG reforms, we go for the globalization of the market sector, and we led to the increase in import of the outer necessities as well as the outer companies to come within India and improve the overall economic condition of the country. And privatization, we have loosened some of the areas which earlier under the control of government only, and like banking sector, and we gave privilege to other private sectors to come within and improve the economic condition of the country.
In 1980s, it is considered that 1980s was the best decade that India had prior to reforms. And liberalization is a concept that was already started in 1980s. We already had the gradual liberalization policy of 1980s. And then the globalization was already part of 1980s decade. What was actually done in 1991 that we consider that there was a stark difference of what was happening now, because liberalization was already in place in India. Globalization was already happening in India. What was a new thing in 1991 that happened?
Sorry, sir. Right now, I'm not able to recall this.
Okay. We have also seen since the reforms, the private sector, the market has been leading the economy, and now there is this concept of the big tech that is running the entire system, the digital platform, the digital marketplace. And we've seen that the big tech has revolutionized India's digital space. But when it has revolutionized India's digital space, it is also creating a monopoly in the digital marketplace. And recently, the Competition Commission of India has actually implied a penalty of close to 1,000 crores on Google because of its practices in the Android market. So, how would you look at this particular issue? Is India going the wrong way? Is we are going towards the market, towards the capitalistic system? Are we heading in a wrong direction?
So, as per the Indian policy, that is Atmanirbhar policy, India is trying to focus upon the self-reliance system. And in case of Google, the Google along with his application, there is a network with Android that there are already installed application which was present in the, Android which we are using. So in this way, there is they were reducing the competition of the outer software which are available in the market. So in digitalization, there should be an equal opportunity given to all the application, all the softwares, so that clear competition can be evaluated. So as there is an open market, so competition should be there, and it should be the choice of the consumer that whether which option we should be opted for. So according to me, it is in a right direction that India is going for in this particular case.
Right. I can see that you are from Katra. We have a river, Banganga that passes through it. Can you tell me which of the famous temples do we have in Katra?
The Katra is the place with lots of holy places, and the first of all, the most important was the Shri Mata Vaishno Devi temple, and followed by there is Agar Jito. There also one temple is present. Then there is Dhansar Baba, No Devi temple. There is also
What are
present.
the other names of Mata Vaishno Devi temple?
So, Mata Vaishno Devi temple can be known as a Sherawali Mata Mandir. Then it can be known as Ichha Puran Mata Mandir. Then most commonly it is known by these names only.
And there is the manifestation of which of the deity in Hindu religion in that temple?
Uh, there is a Vaishno Devi Mata, and there are three pindis which is present at that area, that is Mahalakshmi, Mahakali, and Mahasaraswati.
On the halfway, if you go towards the Mata Vaishno Devi temple, you have this cave that is very famous, known as Ardhkuvari cave. Are you aware of that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What do you know about it?
The Ardhkuvari cave is the cave in which the Mata stayed and meditate. And she asked according to mythology, she asked the Hanumanji to stay outside and restrict the entry of the Bhaironath Baba, who was behind the Mata while she was going toward the holy place. And there she stayed and she meditated. And that is the cave specialty. In that cave only she stayed.
Okay. Recently, we've seen that one of the famous Bollywood actors, Mr. Shah Rukh Khan, he visited the temple. Do you think he visited the temple to have a spiritual fulfillment, or to save his upcoming movie uh, from getting boycotted at the box office?
So, as per my knowledge, I feel that it is a personal choice of every individual to cover whatever tradition or whatever religion he want to do for the success of his upcoming movie. But recently, according to me, he might have might have visited the temple for the uh, success, as he is not didn't give any movie in last 5 years, so might be that a reason. After giving a long stretch, he's again working for a new thing. And as per people thinking that some before doing something new, we should take the blessing of some deity, so
What
they might
what
be.
do what do you think about this boycott culture of the Bollywood movies? What is your opinion on that?
So boycott basically, as earlier the Bollywood focusing on, right now Bollywood is focusing more upon the mythological themes like Brahmastra and these type of movies that giving a wave of increasing some particular region, and that leads to the I don't think there is a need for religion. I mean, making the this industry religion based, because it is just for entertainment, and we can gain knowledge from them, but we should not mix two different things in this. We should keep in a more secular ways, and focusing upon the entertainment or learning section more as compared to the religion aspects.
Yesterday only, Indian Railways have opened an escape tunnel in your Banihal Katra section of the railway line. What is an escape tunnel?
So escape tunnel is basically a tunnel which is made so that it can be used during the emergency by uh, any emergency happens. So it is made in relation to T949 tunnel, which is already made. And this tunnel is made for just a preventive measure, that if there is any emergency, there need to be an escape area for the same.
Which one is the world's highest railway bridge?
The Chenab Bridge, which is made recently, it is one of the highest. Its height is around 359 meters above the sea level.
Okay, tell me about the literacy rate of your district.
The literacy rate of Riyasi district is 890 as per the census 2011.
890 is not the literacy, it is the sex ratio.
Sorry, sir. Pardon, sir. So actually, literacy rate is 58.6%.
Okay. Why do you think there is so low as a literacy? If you look at the southern states, this particular district has a very low literacy rate. What are the reasons for that?
So, as per my knowledge, the most important reason might be the terrain and the lack of connectivity to the area. As there is a hilly terrain, there is lack of connectivity, so people are not that much. The connectivity is low, so people are unable to reach to the schools and everything. And in rural areas, they are not very high level school learning, only small schools. That first might be the terrain and the lack of connectivity. Second might be the uh, uh, there's a lack of awareness among the people also, as they are not that developed they are not in that developed part of the country, and there's a lack of awareness among the people for the benefit and the uh, how to go for the further studies, that also lead to the low level of literacy there. And right now
Okay,
I'm only.
tell me about have you worked for any problem in your district? Have you identified any problem and worked on it and found a solution for it?
So as a citizen,
Yes, as a citizen.
the most important thing which I felt in my district is there is lack of awareness among the people. People are not fully aware, as it is a mostly tourist oriented place, so people are more focusing upon just a journal livelihood and earning for the basic. They are not going for the further education levels. Means slowly things have been changing, but right earlier people used to only work for sustaining their lifestyle. So that is the major reason there is a lack of literacy. And moreover, recently there are new schools and universities has been opened, but earlier there was a lack of university. People have to go to the major cities for studying. So lack of that infrastructure is also responsible for the same. So these are the areas.
Have you worked for any of these problems in your life?
So I just focus upon the person, mainly focus till now on the people which are close to me. Like one of my family member, he lives in a small village near Katra only, where Shri Mata Karkyal area. So that person want to study, but the family was not willing to send him out of the area. So I talked to them. Basically, they were my relative only. So I talked to them and told them that I also studied in Delhi. There is nothing going outside. You should send if the child has the capabilities and he is willing to study. So on my particular individual level, I just work on that parameter.
Okay. My last question about your district would be: what are the minerals that we find in your district?
So the minerals in Riasi, usually we found bauxite there, and there's anthracite coal which is present in Riasi district only in whole Jammu and Kashmir. So the mainly these two minerals which we find in Riasi district.
And what would be the districts that border your particular district from all the four directions?
Yes, sir. From the say eastern direction there is a Udhampur district and Ramban district. From the
Mhm.
western there is Rajouri district. In south there is a Jammu district, and in north there is Kulgam district.
All right. Are you married?
Yes, sir.
What are your thoughts about a woman marrying an unemployed man? What are your thoughts about that?
The marriage is I don't think so marriage should be deal with the means financial something like but there might be a relationship between the financial setups so that both husband wife can fulfill their requirements. So if the woman is working or she is able to financially support the family, that marrying to a non-working man can also be workable. So just you need to have independent. Either way, if we both of you are working or either one of you are working, that is probably up to the couple. They might decide the same.
What according to you are the legal rights that every married woman in India should know?
The legal rights every married woman should know that there is a prevention of the protection from the domestic violence available to every
Mhm.
woman, and
Mhm.
dowry prohibition act that should also be known to the women. There is
Mhm.
consent related to your life and your further relation with the husband should also be known to the married woman. According to me, these things should be known to the.
You talked about protection from domestic violence. Close to one third of the married women in India, they experience spousal violence. What do you think are the reasons for that, and what is the government doing for it?
The reason might be the first of all, the most important is unawareness regarding the women's about their rights. The second most important thing, the financial dependency on your counterpart or on your family members. There is right now the time has been reached that we need to be financial stable so that we can fulfill and we should not be dependent on someone. So financial dependency, then lack of awareness about the rights, then there is a earlier there used to be the preference son matter preferences that make women's that less wanted in the family, but that has been changed with the time. So the unwantedness which perception of unwantedness in females lead to the avoidance of telling anybody about the domestic violence. So that might be a reason. So these may be the reasons, that's why.
Lack of awareness of their rights or unwantingness. These are something that are post domestic violence effects. My question is, what are the causes for it?
So weaker section as females are physically weaker as compared to males. That can be the reason. The patriarchal society of the country, which earlier it used to be, that might be the reason. And the dependency of the women on the male counterpart, that can be the reason. So
Do you
the
think
uneducation.
Indian society is patriarchal?
So it was major in the major parts of the country is patriarchal in nature, whereas some parts like Meghalaya tribes they are matrilineal society, but major part is patriarchal used to be patriarchal in nature only.
What is
Right
it
now
like
it is
now?
the shift. So right now there is a shift toward the women empowerment and women also gaining proper opportunities and focusing on working at the equal levels and working in the equal field. So right now there is a shift toward the equilibrium
Then,
between both male and female.
if there is a shift, then why is it taking 2 decades to pass the women reservation bill?
So that women reservation will, yes, sir, it is taking a long time for. That might be the reason that India is suffering. India is one among the patriarchal societies only, and generally people
So,
think the
is it
Indian women.
patriarchal, or has it shifted? Is it still
So it
patriarchal,
is.
or has it shifted?
So it is trying to change. There's a wave of changing from patriarchal to equilibrium system, but right now it's still the patriarchal system exists in our society, and majorly in the rural areas. And slow means it is just as this is a development process, it will take time to reach there. But we are not on that stage that we can say that it is a proper equality.
Okay. What is the Supreme Court stand on marital rape?
Sorry, sir. Right now, I'm not able to recall in court stand.
Okay, tell me, how would your background in dentistry help us in civil services?
As a whole, as a medical background, I feel that from starting only, we have the feeling of empathy and sympathy toward the people. Moreover, in the medical profession, first of all, the very first step is to listen the people. We have to listen the problem of the patient, and then only we can go for further steps. Here also we can do the same. We can listen the grievances of the people and work for the same. In after stage, we have to prepare, we have to search for the various treatment options for the patient. Similarly, here also we can go and focus on the various policies or various things we can do to fulfill the grievances of the people. In the third stage, we opted for the best solution, for best treatment which suited the situation of the patient. Similarly, accordingly, we can also, in this case, from all the options available to us, we can, as per the requirement of the people, we can search for the right policies and right solution and work upon them. And last but not the least, in our setup, we usually go for the uh, follow up of the patient, that whether patient is recover from the condition or not. Here also we can go for the follow up and take the feedback whether the problem which people were suffering from, they have re- uh, fulfilled or solution has been made.
Tell me, have you made any mistake during your work? And if yes, then how have you handled it?
Yes, sir. The very first time when I deal with my patients, the first patient in my college time, the RCT I have done, by mistake I'm not able to. We generally we have three canals in the tooth. Posterior tooth, I had just opened up two canals, but with the help of my with the guidance of my seniors and my teachers, they tell me, and slowly, I get to know the procedure and exact thing how to search for the all canals and how to improve the. And now I can do the RCT
And
properly and every.
what happened to that patient after that?
No, sir, that patient was there only. He didn't went. When we do our starting patient, we have to make every step checked by our seniors. So I make that happen, and they told me and that procedure only. That means at that time only I get the lesson from the teachers.
Okay, let's have a situation where your senior in the government, they assign you a particular task that you have never done. You have no experience in that. How would you handle that? How would you approach it?
So as today's world is more digitalized, so we can go beforehand. We go for the such things, and we can search for same type of cases which is already done by some of our seniors, and we can take the opinion of them and make a framework for the same. Then analyzing the situations and the condition of particular thing, we can uh, keep or remove the available options which are with them as per the requirement and the grievances. So, and if our seniors are available, we can also take their expert advice for the same, and all together we can work for the same.
You already are a doctor and you are a married woman, and now you're preparing for civil services. Maybe you'll get selected as a civil servant. How would you balance your personal life with the work life?
As today, after being married, I'm sitting here and giving this exam. This is one of the example that I have a full support of my family. And second, I always stay in the family where my mother, as well as all the females of my family, are in the working class. So my mother, as well as my mother-in-law, both are teacher by profession. So I have always seen ladies to work and balance this equation. And moreover, I have other my mother and mother-in-law can also support and help me and guide with their experience. And there is also my husband who can do the same. So altogether,
So,
definitely.
describe an instance where you have prioritized something else over your family.
So generally means when we have patient, I generally don't do patient on a regular basis. I do it on the consultation basis. So I have given already appointments. There are times when guests come in our home and we have to look after them. So my family understand that. I tell them that I have already made a commitment regarding them, so they don't. I go and do my work and come back and then interact with those people. So there is no like this. They are very like I can manage that situation because they are educated and they know the importance of work.
Like, what is your optional?
Public administration.
Okay, give me the characteristics of bureaucracy in monarchy vis-a-vis democracy.
In monarchy, sir, earlier in monarchy system, the bureaucracy was basically spoil system. They used to select the bureaucrats as per their own personal choices and the people who can work according to their abilities and their agendas. Where in democracy, there is a merit based system. We focus more upon the merit as compared to the spoil system which used to be there. Along with this, in bureaucracy, in monarchical time, there is a payback to system would continue that those who receive the bureaucratic seats they have a favor, they have to return the favor to their monarchs or kings who have selected them, whereas in bureaucracy there is not such system. We have to work as per the our protocols, and there is uh, there we call there is a performance appraisal where the way we perform we'll get promoted or we get a appraisal nowadays. So these two differences can be the difference between
Okay,
monarchical and democratic.
shed some light on the Weber's bureaucratic model.
So bureaucratic model was basically a rationalized political legal method in which there was more focus on utilizing the tools, the rules and relationship among the people and the position for with a careful prescribed knowledge and as per the according to the official protocol which was conducted, and any deviation from that system leads to the uh, consequences. And it mainly focus upon the parameters like there should be division of work, there should be a proper selection, merit based selection and procurements. Then there is accountability, anonymity, and neutrality among the civil servants. There should be a division. I think division of work I've mentioned. There is a rationality in the decision making and honesty among the civil servants and a well-defined hierarchy in the system. These are the few things which are associated with the Bavarian theory.
What would be the contribution of Frederick Winslow Taylor in public administration?
The Taylor's most important contribution was he was a managerial thinker. He gave the perspective in respect to the management of the organization and uh, management of the organization. Then he focused upon the science of the administration rather than the thumb rule. And right man can be used for the right work in the process. Along with there should be a separate managerial as well as executive bosses so that the uh, shop floor level work can be done by the lower scale people and the manager will supervise the work of the people which are working under them.
Do you think he is relevant in current times?
So in current times, sir, they are the so in current time they are the few things which are recently also seen in respect to this, like the cafeteria system, which is seen that the they no sorry sir, I'm mixing two different things. So right now I'm not able to recall it.
All right. What are your hobbies?
So I usually like morning walks along with watching web series.
Okay. What is the difference between a web series and a TV series?
So web series are basically the OTT platform series. We don't have any censorships, or they are just means open to everyone to watch. Whereas the TV series are the series which are under the control of censorship, and they are working on the national televisions which are available. Means they are not free. We have to give charges as per the
Are you
subscription
saying
fees for
that
the thing.
OTT platforms are not censored?
Yes, sir. So recently there are guidelines for that, but earlier it was not used to be censored.
We have these one of these platforms by the name of Netflix, and recently we've seen that the subscription model of Netflix has failed, and they've had to register huge losses. What led to the loss of Netflix as a platform?
As a Netflix, in Netflix there is a requirement of the high speed internet first of all, and internet is not available in every part of the area, so it give a hindrance for its uh, buffering and all. Second thing which Netflix is facing, that is they are charging very high as compared to other OTT platforms, which are giving some free material also to watch. So Netflix has a higher cost, subscription cost as compared to the other
But
platforms.
you mentioned about internet. We've seen in the same way YouTube also requires good quality internet to actually watch the videos on a higher uh, bandwidth. But YouTube has had a huge revenue generation in these COVID times, and it has had completely it has transformed the way Indians interact with the social media. So if the, by same analogy, if you talk about YouTube, it is growing at an accelerated level with the same internet connection and the same internet speed. So internet it is not one of the reasons why Netflix has had to have a revenue loss.
So as per my knowledge, there is no download option which is present in Netflix. Whereas in this YouTube, we can go for the download or reducing the quality of the videos. That can be more positive toward the YouTube as compared to the Netflix issues. The download option and quality reducer means we can reduce the pixels of the quality of
Mhm.
YouTube.
Okay, what kind of web series do you like?
So I generally go for is a journal web series. There's no specific area. Means recently I'm watching the Hindi web series which are available in the OTT
Okay, name
platforms.
name a recent web series that you watched.
So recently I have watched Tandav. I have watched Criminal Justice, Aspirant. These web series.
All right, Mahek, let's conclude. I have your feedback ready. कैसा लगा आपको? What is your opinion about your interview?
सर एक्चुअली मैंने ऑनलाइन आपके इंटरव्यूज देखे थे, उसी से मैंने देख के मुझे ऐसा लगा कि आई शुड गो फॉर दिस, क्योंकि बहुत वेरिएशन है, मतलब आप हर टाइप के क्वेश्चंस पूछ रहे हैं। जो मैंने जर्नली अभी तक इंटरव्यू दिए हैं वो एक ही पैरामीटर पे स्टार्ट होते हैं, उसी पे खत्म हो जाते हैं। तो यहाँ पे वेरिएशन बहुत है, तो इसलिए मुझे ये देख के थोड़ा ऐसे डाइवर्सिफिकेशन की फीलिंग आई कि हाँ इस पार्ट से भी पूछ सकते हैं क्वेश्चन।
आपको क्या लग रहा है आपकी परफॉर्मेंस कैसी है?
सर अभी सर थोड़ा ज़रूरत है, एक्चुअली मैं उतनी कॉन्फिडेंट नहीं हूँ शायद, बोलने में थोड़ा-सा रह जाता है मेरे को।
हम्म, ठीक है, मैं आपको बताता हूँ कहाँ कहाँ पर मुझे लग रहा है। सबसे पहले तो यू हैव वेरी गुड नॉलेज अबाउट योर बैकग्राउंड, सो बैकग्राउंड के रिलेटेड यू आर स्पॉट ऑन आंसर्स फॉर एवरीथिंग। विल स्टार्ट विद द इंट्रोडक्शन में, ठीक है। आपने इंट्रोडक्शन में यू मेंशनड योर नेम, फिर आपने अपना डिस्ट्रिक्ट मेंशन किया, आपका प्लेस ऑफ बर्थ ऑफ डिस्ट्रिक्ट। आपने ये भी इंट्रोडक्शन में बोला दैट यू आर अ मैरिड वुमन। फिर आपने बोला मेरा ग्रेजुएशन यहाँ से, पीजी यहाँ से। ये भी ठीक है। फिर आपने अपना वर्क एक्सपीरियंस बताया, आपका जॉब, और फिर आपका इंटरेस्ट। यही ऑर्डर आपको वहां पर भी मेंटेन करना है, बिल्कुल इसी ऑर्डर में। ठीक है, इट्स अ वेरी गुड इंट्रोडक्शन। बहुत ही अच्छा, आपकी प्रेजेंस इसमें दिखती है। उसके बाद आपने, क्योंकि बैकग्राउंड में यू मेंशन अबाउट आपका पीजी किस में हुआ, उसके बाद आपने क्लिनिक की भी बात की, तो बट नेचुरल ऐसा हो सकता है वहां पर भी कि वो वहीं से आपका इंटरव्यू शुरू कर दे आपके बैकग्राउंड के रिलेटेड। जैसे कि ऐसा लग रहा है क्योंकि आपने ज्यादा स्ट्रेस उसी पे दिया, तो दैट इज हाउ यू आर गोइंग टू लीड देम। और आपको ये करना है वहां पर, बिकॉज आपका बैकग्राउंड आपकी स्ट्रेंथ है। तो यू हैव टू लीड देम टू योर डेंटिस्ट्री बैकग्राउंड। वहां पर यू कैन आंसर एवरी क्वेश्चन। फिर मैंने जैसे फ्लोराइड का, सीलेंस का, रूट कैनाल का, एंडोडोंटिक्स का, मैनुअल और इलेक्ट्रॉनिक ब्रशेस का, सब कुछ यू हैड अ वेरी गुड नॉलेज अबाउट दैट। उसके बाद मैंने आपको बोला कि अगर आपके पास ये अच्छा खासा बैकग्राउंड था, तो व्हाई वुड यू ज्वाइन सिविल सर्विसेज। तो आपने बोला इकोनॉमिक स्टेबिलिटी। तो जैसे आपने इकोनॉमिक स्टेबिलिटी बोला, आप अच्छा खासा पैसा अपने जॉब में भी कमा सकते थे, ठीक है ना। सो वेन
यस,
एवर अ क्वेश्चन लाइक दैट इज आस्क्ड, आपका होना चाहिए सर इसमें मल्टीपल रीजंस थे। सबसे पहला रीजन वुड बी इट इज नॉट इकोनॉमिक स्टेबिलिटी फॉर यू प्रिसाइसली। व्हाई? बिकॉज यू हैड अ गुड बैकग्राउंड, आप काम भी कर रहे हो, आप मैरिड भी हो, सो इट वुड नॉट मैटर दैट मच। पर आपके लिए व्हाट मैटर्स इज कि आप शादी करने के बावजूद आप सिविल सर्विसेज के लिए जा रहे हो। व्हाई? बिकॉज यूर इंस्पायर्ड। सो आपका वाई टू ज्वाइन सिविल सर्विसेज में द फर्स्ट थिंग हैज टू बी, sir, there are multiple reasons. The first one would be that I was inspired by some particular senior that had qualified, या मेरी फैमिली में किसी ने क्वालिफाई किया, या मेरे कॉलेज में किसी ने क्वालिफाई किया, एंड आई सॉ कि उन्होंने क्या चेंजेस लाई फिर क्वालिफाई करने के बाद। और दैट वाज अ ट्रिगर पॉइंट इन माय लाइफ कि मुझे भी लगा कि दिस इज व्हाट आई वांट टू डू विद माय लाइफ। सेकंड रीजन वुड बी द डाइवर्सिफिकेशन। व्हाई? बिकॉज sir, you're a science student. So I am a science student and I have the curiosity in me कि मैं नई नई चीजें सीखना चाहती हूँ। और अगर मैं अपने ही जॉब में रहूंगी तो कुछ साल के बाद ये मोनोटोनस हो जाएगा मेरे लिए। और मैं नहीं चाहती कि मेरा काम मोनोटोनस रहे। मैं चाहती हूँ कि मेरा इंटरेस्ट बना रहे, तो इसलिए मुझे डाइवर्स डाइवर्स वर्क कल्चर बहुत पसंद है। आपने प्रेस्टिजियस का नाम बोला कि ये काफी प्रेस्टिजियस है। आई वुड रिकमेंड यू डोंट यूज दीज वर्ड्स, लाइक इसमें पावर है, अथॉरिटी है, प्रेस्टीज है, इसको स्किप कर लो। तो आपका इंस्पिरेशन वुड बी एन इमोशनल टच। ऐसा दिखाएगा, ये आपके आपकी पर्सनालिटी का फेसेट दिखाएगा कि यू गेट इंस्पायर्ड बाय गुड पीपल दैट हैव डन गुड जॉब्स। सेकेंड वुड बी डाइवर्सिफिकेशन। उससे क्या दिखेगा, आपकी पर्सनालिटी का एक और फेसेट दिखेगा, दैट वुड बी क्यूरियोसिटी, यू हैव क्यूरियस माइंड। और फिर जाके यू कैन मेंशन सर आई आल्सो वांट टू कंट्रीब्यूट। कंट्रीब्यूट लास्ट पे आप मेंशन करना, शुरू में नहीं, बिकॉज वो वहीं पे पकड़ लेंगे। आप कंट्रीब्यूशन तो डेंटिस्ट्री में भी कर सकते थे, हेल्थ पर आप कंट्रीब्यूट कर सकते थे, तो कंट्रीब्यूशन बिल्कुल लास्ट पे होना चाहिए। उसके बाद डोगरी के रिलेटेड आपका डिसेंट नॉलेज है। उसके बाद जब 1991 पर हम आए, वहां पर यू स्टार्टेड टू मिक्स अप थिंग्स, एंड दिस हैज हैपेंड 3 to 4 times जहां पर आपने दो कॉन्सेप्ट्स को मिक्सअप किया है। तो आई बिलीव कि दिस इज द वन थिंग दैट यू हैव टू वर्क ऑन। आपको क्या करना है, लेट मी टेल यू ऑनेस्टली, आपने जितने भी सवालों का सही जवाब दिया, इट वाज इनफ फॉर मी टू अंडरस्टैंड कि यू हैव अ वेरी गुड नॉलेज बेस। उसके बाद अगर आप फिजिकल डेफिसिट वाले क्वेश्चन को सीधा मना भी कर देते, सर आई एम नॉट रियली श्योर अबाउट दिस, तो ठीक था, इट वुड नॉट मैटर टू द पैनलिस्ट। पर आपने जब गलत जवाब दे दिया, दैट इज समथिंग विच इज रॉन्ग। ठीक है ना। गलत जवाब देने से हजार गुना बेहतर ये है कि आप बोल दो मुझे पता ही नहीं है, चाहे वो कितना भी सिंपल कॉन्सेप्ट हो। आपको मैंने बोला कि एलपीजी का स्पेसिफिक रीजन क्या था 1990s में, कि वो क्यों हुआ। आपने फूड शॉर्टेजेस बोला, आपने फिस्कल डेफिसिट बोला, जो कि फिर मैंने फिर से पूछा, और जब जैसे ही आपको लग रहा है कि शायद मुझे नहीं पता, आप फिर से रेपिटेशन में मत जाओ, बिकॉज जब वो फिर से काउंटर करने की कोशिश कर रहा है, वो चाहता है कि आप कुछ और बोलो, जो आपने ऑलरेडी मेंशन किया वो रिपीट करने की जरूरत नहीं है। तो आपने फिर से फूड शॉर्टेजेस बोला, फिर से फिजिकल डेफिसिट बोला। फिर जब मैंने फिजिकल डेफिसिट बोला, वहां पर आप फंस गए, बिकॉज डेफिनेशन करंट अकाउंट डेफिसिट की आप दे रहे थे। फिजिकल डेफिसिट बजट में होता है जब गवर्नमेंट का एक्सपेंडिचर इज ग्रेटर देन गवर्नमेंट्स इनकम, एंड दैट इज द फिजिकल डेफिसिट। और व्हेन फिजिकल डेफिसिट इज added with current account deficit, then it becomes the twin deficit. तो जो एलपीजी के वक्त हुआ था, इट वाज द ट्विन डेफिसिट दैट हैड हैपेंड। ठीक है, तो इसीलिए जब अगर वो काउंटर कर रहा है, वो परस्यू कर रहा है, वो चाहता है आप कुछ नया पॉइंट बोलो, डोंट रिपीट द पॉइंट्स दैट यू ऑलरेडी सेड। और अगर नया पॉइंट नहीं आ रहा, यू कैन, आप सॉरी बोलकर आगे बढ़ सकते हो। ओके, उसके बाद you talked about आत्मनिर्भर भारत प्रोग्राम, व्हेन आई टॉक्ड अबाउट दैट, गूगल कंपटीशन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया का जो था, उसमें आपने बैलेंस करके उसको जवाब दे दिया। कटरा के बारे में यू हैव वेरी गुड नॉलेज। एस्केप टनल का भी आपने बोला। एसआर के पर आपको थोड़ा कुछ आर्टिकल्स पढ़ लेना, बिकॉज वो अभी डिबेट में है
जी
कि
सर।
हाँ बॉयकॉट कल्चर है क्या। और मैंने वहां पर जैसे ही मैंने बॉयकॉट कल्चर के बारे में आपको पूछा, मैंने आपको इंटरप्ट किया, मैं बार बार आपको इंटरप्ट कर रहा था। आई जस्ट वांटेड टू सी कि हाउ वुड यू रिएक्ट, एंड आपने इंटरप्शन पे यू मेंटेन योर काम एंड पोस्चर, तो दैट वाज गुड। फिर से आपने सेक्स रेशियो और लिटरेसी रेट को मिक्सअप कर दिया।
मिक्स कर दिया।
ठीक है ना, सो मुझे क्या लग रहा है, जैसे ही आपको सवाल पूछा जाता है, यू ऑलरेडी हैव द आंसर। जैसे लिटरेसी रेट में आपने स्पॉट ऑन जवाब पॉइंट में भी दे दिया कि आपको पता था लिटरेसी रेट कितना है, और जब आपको पता होती है कि आप जल्दबाजी में जवाब दे देते हो, ठीक है ना, आप यू कैन टेक अ मोमेंट, बी रिलैक्स्ड, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है जल्दी जवाब देने में। आप क्या करो, आप सवाल पूछ रहे हो, टेक फ्यू सेकेंड्स, फिर जाके जवाब दो, बिकॉज अब आपको पता चल गई ये बात कि आप मिक्सअप करते हो चीजें, तो इसीलिए थोड़ा वक्त लेकर ही जवाब दिया करो। जल्दबाजी में उस चक्कर में आपका मिक्स हो जाता है। और जैसे ही मैंने आपको कहा कि लिटरेसी कम होने के क्या रीजंस है, और मुझे काफी अच्छा लगा कि आपने पॉइंट वाइज जवाब दिया। सर फर्स्ट रीजन ऐसा है, सेकंड रीजन टेरेन का है, कनेक्टिविटी का है, तो फर्स्ट सेकंड थर्ड करके ये अच्छा स्ट्रक्चर्ड आंसर हो जाता है। तो उसको आप वहां पर भी कंटिन्यू कीजिएगा। यहाँ पर मुझे एक प्रॉब्लम लगी, जहां पर मैंने आपको बोला कि आप अपनी डिस्ट्रिक्ट में आपने कोई प्रॉब्लम उठाई है और जिस पर आपने काम किया है, बट व्हाट यू स्टार्टेड सेइंग इज कि हमारे डिस्ट्रिक्ट में ये प्रॉब्लम्स है। बट दैट वाज नॉट द क्वेश्चन। क्वेश्चन वाज कौन सी प्रॉब्लम आपने उठाई है और उस पर आपने क्या काम किया है कभी या नहीं, जो कि फिर मुझे काउंटर फिर से पूछना पड़ा। फिर जाके आपने वो फैमिली मेंबर की एग्जांपल दी जिस जो पढ़ना चाहता था। दैट इज व्हाट आई वांटेड टू हियर। ठीक है, तो क्वेश्चन जरा ध्यान से सुनना है। बीच में जब मैरिज की बात आई, तो लेकिन आपका बीच में वो जैसे मैं इंग्लिश में बात कर रहा हूँ तो आपको वो निकल गया बीच में, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए, कुछ कुछ कहा था आपने वैसे।
यस सर।
तो उसका ख्याल रहे। अम, देखिए आपको उसमें स्पाउसल वायलेंस के लिए, आप जब मैंने पूछा कि वन थर्ड ऑफ द वुमेन एक्सपीरियंस स्पाउसल वायलेंस इन इंडिया, व्हाट आर द रीजंस फॉर दैट, आपने बोला लैक ऑफ अवेयरनेस है, फाइनेंशियल डिपेंडेंसी है, पेट्रियार्किकल स्ट्रक्चर है। अब जैसे ही मैंने पेट्रियार्की को परस्यू किया, देन आप फंस गए वहां, यू हैड यू, क्योंकि जब आप पेट्रियार्की को बोल रहे थे, फिर मैंने वुमेन रिजर्वेशन की बात की। आपने बोला कि इंडिया यूज्ड टू बी पेट्रियार्किकल, अब ऐसा नहीं है। तो फिर जब मैंने कहा अब अगर ऐसा नहीं है, तो फिर क्यों नहीं वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट के लिए या वुमेन रिजर्वेशन के लिए, हाँ, फिर वहां पर आपने बोला कि हाँ अब है पेट्रियार्की के लिए। ठीक है ना, सो जो चीज आप श्योर
बैलेंस।
नहीं हो, वहां पर जाना भी नहीं। अगर आपने वो पढ़ा नहीं था वो टॉपिक, अगर आपके पास अच्छी एग्जाम्पल्स नहीं है, डेटा नहीं है, जस्ट डोंट मेंशन दैट ओनली, बिकॉज उस पर वो फिर आपको परस्यू करके फंसा देंगे आगे जाकर। तो आपने कहा था कि लैक ऑफ अवेयरनेस है, फिजिकली वीक है, फाइनेंशियली डिपेंडेंस है, बस ठीक है, जस्ट जस्ट नो लिमिटेड देयर ओनली। पेट्रियार्की में चले गए आप, तो वहां पर फिर आप बाद में फंस गए। ओके, मैंने आपको बोला कि क्या आपने वर्क में कभी मिस्टेक की है, ठीक है, आपने अच्छी एग्जांपल दी। एंड इन 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 क्वेश्चंस का जो सिचुएशनल क्वेश्चंस थे, वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस, ऐसा कोई काम जो आपने कभी नहीं किया हो तो आप उसको कैसे करोगे, क्या आपने कभी प्रायोरिटाइज किया है किसी और चीज को अपनी फैमिली के ऊपर, आपने हर क्वेश्चन को अटेम्प्ट किया और हर क्वेश्चन का जवाब दिया। ये सिचुएशनल क्वेश्चंस आपसे पूछे जाएंगे। अभी तक जितना मैं सुन पा रहा हूँ, जितना मुझे ट्रांसक्रिप्ट्स मिल रहे हैं इंटरव्यू के, देयर इज अ साइकोलॉजिस्ट इन द पैनल जिसका काम ही ये है कि वो आपको सिचुएशनल क्वेश्चंस में डालेगा। और सिचुएशनल क्वेश्चंस में आपका व्हाट यू शुड डू इज यू टेक सम मोमेंट। आप उनको बोल सकते हो सर कैन आई टेक अ मोमेंट, फिर 2 सेकंड 3 सेकंड 4 सेकंड ले लो, सोचो, फिर जवाब दो। ठीक है, तो सिचुएशनल क्वेश्चंस आएंगे आपको। और मैंने मुझे जो सुनने में आया है, मोस्टली डैफ हम प्रिपेयर करते हैं और आपका इंटरव्यू डैफ से ही निकलता है। बट वहां पर बहुत सारे बच्चे कह रहे हैं कि हमारा तो डैफ तक नहीं देखा गया। ठीक है, दे हैव नॉट इवन आस्क्ड द क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम द डिस्ट्रिक्ट। तो ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि आप वहां से कोई सवाल नहीं आए, तो मे बी दे विल गो टू समवेयर एल्स, और फिर एक ही डायमेंशन को पकड़ते पकड़ते वो आगे चले जाते हैं। हाँ, बट हर एक ने मुझे ये कहा है कि सिचुएशनल क्वेश्चंस पूछा पूछा जाता है। फिर जब हमने पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की बात की, उसमें भी आपने मिक्सअप कर दिया था, तो फिर भी ठीक था वो, दैट वाज नॉट अ बिग ऑफ एन इशू। एक और चीज जो मुझे लगा कि आप सोचते वक्त यू डू नॉट मेंटेन आई कांटेक्ट। आप ऊपर नीचे दाएं बाएं देखते रहते हो। इंस्टेड ऑफ डूइंग दैट व्हाट यू शुड डू इज कि जब सोचना आपको आपको सोचने का टाइम दिया जा रहा है, या तो आप पूछो उनसे कैन आई टेक अ मोमेंट, उसके बाद सर नीचे रखकर थोड़ा सोचो। अब अगर आपने वो कर दिया और आपको बोलते बोलते आप कुछ सोच रहे हो, तो जो सवाल पूछ रहा है उसके साथ आई कांटेक्ट करते करते आप दूसरे पैनलिस्ट तीसरे पैनलिस्ट के साथ आई कांटेक्ट कर सकते हो, बट सीलिंग की तरफ नहीं देखना है। ठीक है, तो यू कैन शिफ्ट द आई कॉन्टैक्ट्स बिटवीन द पैनलिस्ट्स ओनली। तो उसमें क्या दिखता है ना, उसमें कॉन्फिडेंस दिखता है। जब यू आर सिटिंग अपराइट, आप इनकी तरफ देख रहे हो, उनकी तरफ देख रहे हो, उनकी तरफ देख रहे हो, तो दैट शोज योर कॉन्फिडेंस। तो वो देखते रहेंगे वहां पर। ठीक है, वेब सीरीज की के रिलेटेड भी डिसेंट नॉलेज, सो दिस वाज इट। मुझे लग रहा है कि इफ यू वर्क ऑन दीज थिंग्स, you have a very good chance and you have a very good background as well. If you have any questions, you can ask.
So actually, sir, I am expecting my first child by next month. So should I tell this while in my intro or not?
No, 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 no. Don't mention it. If they ask you, then only mention it. क्योंकि अगर बाद में उनको पता चला या बाद में वो निकल गया कॉन्वर्सेशन में, that would be a benefit for you. वो एक बहुत ही अलग छाप छोड़ेगा. But don't mention it in the interview. ऐसा लगेगा कि आप you're trying to gain some points
Sympathy.
like that. Yeah.
Sympathy points I'm trying to do.
हाँ हाँ, don't do that. Don't do that. बाकी मुझे लग रहा है you are a very focused woman. We need people like you in administration. Inshallah, your expertise would help us and the people of Kashmir and Jammu. You'll get selected, hopefully. बस focus on these things. Take some moment, be relaxed, be confident. अगर ना भी बोल दोगे 10 क्वेश्चंस को, कुछ नहीं होने वाला उससे। ठीक है ना? बस ये है कि just lead the interview वहां पर जहां पर आप काफी स्ट्रांग हो। अब जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल वो आपको ऐसा भी सवाल पूछ सकते हैं कि बताइए आपकी वीकनेस क्या है। तो क्योंकि ऐसी कोई वीकनेस बिल्कुल भी नहीं बोलनी है जिससे आपकी पर्सनालिटी पे सवाल उठे, आपके कैरेक्टर पे सवाल उठे। जैसे कुछ बच्चे कोई ऐसी वीकनेस बोल देते हैं जो इलीगल होती है, या कुछ बच्चे ऐसी वीकनेस बोलते हैं जिससे उन पे कैरेक्टर पे सवाल उठता है। कोई जैसे बोलेगा कि सर मैं स्मोक करता हूँ और मैं स्मोकिंग नहीं छोड़ सकता, ये मेरी वीकनेस है। सच में उसकी वीकनेस हो सकती है, बट दिस इज थिंग ऑफ अ कैरेक्टर जहां पर आप एक छोटा सा बैड हैबिट कंट्रोल नहीं कर पा रहे, आप कौन सी डिस्ट्रिक्ट कंट्रोल कर लोगे फिर? वही। तो वीकनेसेस में उसका ख्याल रखना है। वीकनेस ऐसी हो जिससे एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में दिक्कत ना हो। जैसे आप नहीं बोल सकते कि सर मैं ओवर इमोशनल हूँ, या सर मैं ओवर सेंसिटिव हूँ। ये ऐसी चीजें हैं जिससे कल को एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में दिक्कत आएगी। आपको बोलना है बहुत ही सटल सी वीकनेस, सर मेरा काम काफी ज्यादा है, वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस नहीं बैठ रहा मेरा।
Introvert use कर सकते हैं word
हाँ
introvert.
हाँ हाँ, आई एम इंट्रोवर्ट, मुझे ओपन होने में
Okay.
टाइम लगता है।
मैं
मेरा
जनरली
हाँ,
बात
जैसे
करने
मेरा
में मुझे टाइम लगता
हाँ, वो भी ठीक। बट डोंट से कि आई एम नॉट एबल टू एक्सप्रेस माई सेल्फ, दैट वुड बी अ प्रॉब्लम। ठीक है, वैसा नहीं। आप बोल सकते हैं कि सर मैं आर्टिस्टिक नहीं हूँ सर, मेरे मेरे बाकी सहेलियां अच्छा अच्छा गाना गाती है, डांस करती है, मुझे वो सब नहीं आता। वो भी वीकनेस है, और वो सारी वीकनेसेस में कोई दिक्कत नहीं आएगी कल को आपको एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में। और अगर स्ट्रेंथ बोलनी है तो स्ट्रेंथ में भी ये कभी नहीं बोला कि मुझे अच्छा गाना आता है। आपके अच्छे गाने से हमें केएस ऑफिसर में कोई फायदा नहीं मिलेगा ना। तो स्ट्रेंथ में वो सारी चीजें होनी चाहिए जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में फायदा दे। और जैसे भी सिचुएशनल कोई क्वेश्चन आएगा उसमें तीन चीजों का ख्याल रखना है। पहला ये कि आपको अपना लॉजिक दिखाना है, बिकॉज ये आपके इंटरव्यू के सिलेबस में मेंशन्ड है। यू हैव टू शोकेस योर लॉजिक, देन यू हैव टू शोकेस योर मॉरल मोरालिटी, मॉरल इंटेग्रिटी, एंड देन यू हैव टू बैलेंस इट। अब देखो कुछ बच्चे क्या करते हैं, जैसे उनको सवाल पूछा, वो प्योरली लॉजिकल एंड में चले जाएंगे, उसको लॉजिकली जवाब देंगे, तो ऐसा लगेगा भाई ये रोबोटिक है, इसमें इमोशन नाम की कोई चीज ही नहीं है। दूसरा बंदा क्या होगा, जो प्योर मोरालिटी के बेसिस पे जवाब देगा। तो अगर मोरालिटी के बेसिस पे ही जवाब दे रहा, तो हम किसी साधु संत को ले आते फिर केएस बनाने के लिए। लेकिन आपको मोरालिटी भी दिखानी है, आपको एप्टीट्यूड भी दिखाना है, मेंटल अलर्टनेस भी दिखानी है, लॉजिक भी दिखाना है, फिर उसको बैलेंस करना है। जो भी सिचुएशनल क्वेश्चन होगा, लॉजिक, मोरालिटी एंड बैलेंस, ये तीन चीजें दिमाग में रख लेना, एंड टेक सम मोमेंट बिफोर यू आंसर।
तो जो मैंने सिचुएशनल का आंसर्स दिए थे वो मतलब टाइम तो मैंने कम दिया बट ऐसे ठीक था वो आंसर्स?
हाँ हाँ हाँ, वो ठीक था, आपके आंसर्स वो गुड,
क्योंकि मुझे
उसमें कोई
मैंने
दिक्कत।
जो पर्सनली फ़ील किया मैंने वही आंसर्स दिए मतलब मैंने कोई ऐसे फेक सी वो नहीं बनाई है कि
हम्म
हाँ, ऐसा होता है जो नॉर्मली वही आंसर्स में
नहीं,
कोशिश की है।
नहीं, जैसे मैंने आपको वो ऐसा कोई काम जो आपने कभी नहीं किया है, आप उसको कैसे हैंडल करोगे, तो आपने डिजिटल हेल्प की बात की, अपने सीनियर से कंसल्टेशन की बात की, दैट्स हाउ यू डू इट, वही उसका सही जवाब है। उसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, आपके सिचुएशनल क्वेश्चंस पे यू हैड अ गुड आंसर। और और अगर कोई काम आपने प्रायोरिटाइज किया अपनी फैमिली के ऊपर, तो आपने अच्छी एग्जांपल दी, हाँ पेशेंट के लिए आपने किया, तो वो भी एक अच्छा है, आपने सिचुएशनल क्वेश्चंस को अच्छा हैंडल किया। पर क्योंकि आप मैरिड हो, मैरिज के रिलेटेड सवाल आएंगे, मैरिटल रेप देख लो, ठीक है ना,
हाँ जी।
जैसे बर्निंग इशू, उस पे सुप्रीम कोर्ट का क्या स्टैंड है,
सर वो
क्या
मुझे
डेफिनेशन है।
एग्ज़ैक्टली याद नहीं आ रहा था तो मैंने सोचा इससे बेटर ये अवॉइड ही कर लेती हूँ
हम्म,
कुछ उस समय।
हम्म, ठीक है ठीक। बाकी ओटीटी के बारे में, नेटफ्लिक्स के बारे में ये चीजें देखो, उसमें नॉलेज आपकी थोड़ी कट रही है,
ठीक
अम, वो देख लेना थोड़ा। बाकी ये भी है कि डोंट टेक, मैं फिर से बोल रहा हूँ, डोंट टेक दिस एज अ स्टैंडर्ड ऑफ दैट इंटरव्यू। इट माइट गो इन सम अदर डायरेक्शन एंटायरली, बिकॉज कुछ ऐसा कभी पैनल हर एक डाइवर्स फील्ड से सवाल पूछता है, और कभी आपको आप ही लीड कर रहे हो और बस उसी में करते रखेंगे आपको फिर, ठीक है ना। सो घबराने की जरूरत नहीं है, यू एक्सपेक्ट द वर्स्ट, है ना, प्रिपेयर फॉर द वर्स्ट।
है।
आई विश यू ऑल द बेस्ट,
थैंक यू सर।
hope we see you in the in the final list.
थैंक यू सो मच।